Sri Lanka should uproot the poor and petty mindset often referred to the agriculture sector and people engaged in the industry, to embed the entrepreneurial streak, Central Bank Governor Nivard Cabraal said. Speaking at the Knock Knock 2022, the Doorway to Success Forum organized by the Daily FT and Colombo University MBA Alumni Association on Tuesday, he said Sri Lanka needs to have a structural change in the mindset of the agriculture industry.
Knock Knock Conference is an innovative theme, and I believe it also suggests that we open doors, like what has been said, the doorway to success. Sometimes people knock, but we don't open doors. And sometimes even people who knock, they don't know why they are knocking. We sometimes don't realize that people are knocking. So in order to be conscious about the knocking on the doors is useful, and I'm particularly thankful to you for opening our eyes as well as our hearing to this kind of a feature as well. The theme that you've chosen with regard to agriculture is also very interesting. The World Bank country director took us through a large number of topics which focuses on agriculture, the fisheries, and about dairy. We have discussed these topics for a long time, and the agricultural modernization program, which she referred to, has been around for some time, and I know a lot of work has been done in that as well. What I wanted to really tell you today is that we need to have a structural change in our thinking with regard to agriculture as well. We have in our minds, when we talk about fisheries, a poor fisherman. We need him to be poor. We always refer to a fisherman as a poor fisherman in Sri Lanka. We have a poor farmer or a small farmer. We have also a dairy farmer, a Kirigovia, a very innocent, humble person. And that's the mindset that we have. So if we do see a rich farmer, we wonder how can that be possible? There is something wrong here. Maybe he's not growing properly. Maybe he's doing something else. If you have a rich fisherman, that also we cannot absorb. So I think there must be a fundamental transformation in our thinking as well. When you go to other countries, you find very, very rich people who are farmers. You find very rich fishermen. You find them owning multi-day boats, several multi-day boats. You have corporates who are in fisheries. You have corporates who are in farming. But here today, we have a few corporates in fisheries or in agriculture. But by and large, we are comfortable with the thought that fishermen must be poor, that dairy farmers must be poor, that agricultural sector must be a closed, a small sector. That's perhaps why we haven't grown as much as we should have. At the time that we had independence, agriculture accounted for 60% of the GDP. Today, it accounts for about 7 or 8%. I'm sure someone may say, yes, the GDP has risen considerably. Yes, that's true. But if you look at the numbers, you find that it is not very flattering. Yet, about 30% of our people are in agriculture. And they only are able to generate about 8% of the GDP. Malaysia had a very interesting transformation. They had an overall slogan when they did their corporate plans in 1990, that by the year 2000, they would have half the population in agriculture, but double the production. People didn't realize that it meant 4 times of a growth in the sector. But that was what they strived for, and they pursued that goal with a lot of attention. The private sector bought into that. The big private sector The corporate sector, which is in the stock exchange with their big numbers, they also became a part of that. And that was the transformation that took place in Malaysia. So naturally, the workforce could spread out. If you have only half the population, by generating double the production, that's a serious transformation. Then you had the workforce being released for other types of activities as well. And the workforce that remained in agriculture also became rich. They were that 4 times richer. Those who migrated to other areas also had a huge number of new opportunities. So that transformation was not only in the agricultural division and the agricultural sector, but that transformation took place countrywide. So that's the type of transformation which I think we should now strive for. It's not impossible. It's not an impossible task for us to develop a few strategic plans and priorities that will take us there. But we now need to think a little differently. We need to knock on our own brains to see, well, what's missing? What are we not really getting at? And I think if we do that, we'll probably find that the opportunities for dairy are huge. We are importing $1 million worth of milk a day. Our milk imports is about $320 million. We import fish as well. Being an island, I think we need to rethink our strategies here. We should be exporting. We should be exporting fish. But why are we importing? Most probably, that's an area that we need to look at and see how best are we going to work through. So the fact that you have chosen a topic of this nature, where you're reflecting on the development of the GDP through agriculture, is very refreshing. I want to congratulate all of you, and the fact that all the experts are getting together is also very, very refreshing. I'm sure you'll find new ways of creating this value. We need to create value. We need to now step it up. I was described as the 12th governor as well as the 16th governor. One of the quirks in history was that when I left the central bank in 2014, the GDP was $79 billion. When I came back 7 years later, it was still $79 billion. That tells me a story. We need to now not go back and do postmortems. We need to now see what do we do to go up to the $125 billion mark. In the next 5 years, we should strive to take us through to that goal. And if you're going there, I think agriculture will make a serious contribution to the GDP of our country. And I'm sure your decisions, your discussions would enable us to get there. So I hope that this conference, which Bhushan said would yield results as well as new thoughts, as well as strategies, would be useful for our country. And I can certainly assure you that if those come through to us, we'll also be actively pursuing those and trying to fashion policy to take us there. And we will like to see this kind of a new thrust in our agricultural sector, which will be a very important contributor to the GDP as well as the growth of our country.
For more latest news, subscribe to FTTV.